Okay, hi everybody. Today I have Janani A with me, okay, and she's very passionate about environmentalism, and she's created a site called Pale Blue Dot, which has resources and a lot of ways that you can be more conservative. So, can you give us a little self introduction?
Sure. I'm Janani. I'm 16 years old. And as already explained, I'm really passionate about climate change and especially climate action. And I'm really interested in investing in climate tech and the research behind it.
Yeah. Okay, thanks. So, the first thing is what motivated you to create Pale Blue Dot?
So I guess what motivated me to create Pale Blue Dot was that it's something that I would really have appreciated to have maybe 2 or 3 years ago, because it basically has what you can do about climate change, what specifically you can do. Because, obviously we know all these things like, switch off lights and use less water and things like that. But this is how you can use your own skills to help fight climate change and not learn anything new and use what you already have.
Yeah. And what inspired the name Pale Blue Dot?
So I'm not sure if you know this, but the pale blue dot is actually a picture taken from Voyager 1 in about uh 1990, and it's taken, I think, 5 billion kilometers from Earth. And so it's basically a picture of the Earth, and it's this really small blue dot, and it's just isolated and there's nothing around it. And so I feel like I really like that picture because first of all, I'm kind of like an astronomy nerd, but also because it's kind of shows how unique the Earth is. And as far as we know, it's the only planet in our solar system or even in our universe that can have life, that has a capacity for life. And I feel like it's really special and we ought to protect that.
Yeah, that's a really meaningful name. And how do you become so passionate about climate change?
I became really passionate about climate change because when I was younger, well, even now, I guess, before COVID, our parents, when they take us on vacation, they would usually take us to more nature places instead of the city. And I guess because I had the privilege to, be so close to nature a lot of the time, and I realized how much nature had to give to us, and because I feel like it's our duty to protect it and do our duty to the earth, and also because the lack of people who care about it. I mean, of course people care, but the lack of action that's being taken. So I guess in a way I care so much because not enough people do.
Yeah. You also like have a flair for writing and like a serious talent for it. And what would you like
Thank
people
you.
to take away or like understand from your writing? And yeah.
What would I like people? I guess from my essays, I hope people get a general understanding of what climate change is, and I hope that they can get rid of any misinformation or doubts that they may have, and kind of leave with a clear mind and maybe some hope as well. But I guess for my short stories, I think writing really has, okay, so we have a lot of emotions surrounding climate change, right? Like maybe worry, fear, anxiety, anger, frustration. And I feel like the art, music, um like art, writing, I feel like this really has a power to encapsulate all of these emotions and make people feel seen, like make them feel like they've been understood. And I also feel like it can stir people into action at the same time, because while facts are important because it helps you gain an understanding of the problem, I feel like the emotions also need to be addressed so people feel like they can still go and do something.
Yeah, that's like really a deep meaning to your writing. So, how do you see the world in 50 years from now? Let's say that people become more conservative of the environment now in 2021. So, how would you see the world in 50 years from now? What do you think it would be like?
The world 50 years from now, I feel like, well, at least what I hope is that people, like, plastic plays a really small role in all of our lives, and that our energy systems, the way that we grow things, the way that we build things, manufacturing steel and cement, I hope that all of these processes release a lot less carbon. And, generally that there's a lot less carbon in our atmosphere. And also, the trends, the loss of biodiversity that's going down. And I hope that can come back up again, and, we can get our biodiversity back and forests and things like that.
That's a really nice perspective to what could be there in 50 years from now. So, what can be done to be more environmentally friendly in the average person's daily life? Like, what is a little act that we all can do to contribute to get making our environment more clean?
Right. So I feel like the first thing you think of is, maybe driving an electric car, eating less meat, going vegetarian, vegan, whatever it means to you. But I feel like something really important, often overlooked, is what you can do as a citizen. Obviously, you and I, we can't vote, right? But as a citizen, so I'll start. Okay, so this is from a book by Bill Gates called How to Avoid a Climate Disaster. And so it's basically how the majority of our emissions don't come from personal action. They actually come from the systems in our lives. For example, suppose you want to eat toast, right? So you're getting bread, and this bread is delivered to you, and so is the toaster and the energy powering the toaster. So this energy system has to not release any carbon or greenhouse gases. And of course, you can't tell people to stop eating toast, right? So that doesn't solve the problem. So the way you can kind of get these clean energy systems is through political action, through policymakers who are writing policies that encourage people to innovate and come up with these clean systems for us. And policymakers, they have a lot on their plate, education, healthcare, and now the coronavirus. So you kind of have to make it a priority. They have to know that their voters make it a priority, that they have to make plans to help alleviate climate change and mitigate climate change. So I feel like it's really important to, maybe write letters, call, make it known that climate change is really important to you, and maybe encourage people who are old enough to vote for people who are taking action against climate change. And of course, there's what you can do as a consumer, buy more sustainably, look for zero carbon alternatives. And you see, the thing is, once you buy these zero carbon alternatives, what happens is that once you buy more, the demand for them goes up. And once the demand goes up, all these companies and firms, they realize, hey, more people want this. So they're going to start producing more zero carbon alternatives and sustainably produced goods. So once this happens and more firms start, like, making sustainable goods, this will drive the price down. And once the price comes lower, a lot more households will adopt these goods into their homes. And yeah, so things you can do is, maybe watch out for your house emissions, switch off lights, fans, maybe encourage your parents to get more efficient appliances that waste less electricity, and, eat healthier, vegetarian, things like that.
Yeah, well, I don't think I thought of it like that. These are points that I've not really thought of. It's really cool. And did you face any hurdles while setting up the site for Pale Blue Dot? Like,
Yeah, of course. Setting up the site, obviously there are bugs, and, I needed help with the code at times. So I'm glad that Manu was there to help me out. But also for a lot of the, small articles that I wrote, or maybe not small, regular sized articles that I wrote, a lot of them I had no knowledge to begin with. For example, how dance can help climate change, or how architecture can help climate change. So I had no idea. I was starting from square one. But I feel like, once I started researching and learning, it became a lot easier.
yeah. And lastly, what message will you have for girls watching this interview?
I would say that take risks. First of all, like, don't be afraid to do something that scares you. Maybe entering a competition, or like teaming up with someone, like. And also, don't be worried about thinking that other people are smarter than you or better than you, or, like, when you see someone doing something really great, you feel like, oh wow, I can't do that. But you got to rephrase it in your head, like, you can't do that yet, because that person was where you are was, yeah, that person was also where you are at some point. You know, they also started somewhere. So it's really important to not, let negative self-talk take over, I would say.
Well, those are some really inspiring words. I'm sure the viewers will agree. So, thank you for coming here. It's been amazing. It's been an amazing session, and I hope
Thank
you feel the
you.
same way. Yeah. And yeah. So, yeah.